Thanks, Yasmin, and sorry everyone for the inconvenience. So here you can see in the dummy data that we have the master table. This master table contains all the customer data, starting from the ID, the name, and also the country. We generally will store this master separately from the transaction data, and it's a good practice when we are building dashboard using the Power BI. Yasmin, can you go to the transaction tab? And yes, in the transaction tab here, you can see this is the data is about the orders. So each order you will have details of the customer, the date, and also the cooking oil ship, including the revenue and the status of the rush shipment. So with these two set of data, we will use it in the Power BI. We do a managed relationship and connect them to make a interactive dashboard. So Yasmin, can you please open the Power BI apps? So if you have already installed the Power BI, you can go from the Windows and type Power BI. Yep. So after you open the Power BI, you will see this page. It's the format is really similar to other Microsoft applications like Excel, Word. So it must be very familiar to you all. So to start, you can go by selecting blank report. So once you are in this page, the very first step to do is you want to select get data from the home tab. And as you can see, there is a lot of data sources that you can select. Um, Starting from Excel, you have SQL Server, and also for us, BI, we usually will connect to a external database like Redshift. But for this training purpose, we will be connecting to the Excel workbook. From here, please select the dummy data that we showed earlier. So once you're in this navigator page, you will be able to see the data set that you have selected. So in this case, we have the two tables. One is the master and one is the transaction data. And if you are sure that your data is already clean, and meaning there is no duplicate, there's no error, everything is working fine, then you can start and load the data. But for this training purpose, we will show you that we can actually do some cleaning steps and prepare the data to make a better dashboard. In this case, go to the master table and select transform data. Okay, so once you're in this step, you are actually opening the Power Query editor. Here you can do a lot of things to uh, clean, transform, and even change the data based on your needs. So in this case, the first step, sorry, Yasmin, did you change the column name? Yep, sorry. If you go to the master table, as you can see that the header actually is not correct. It is registered as the column 1, 2, and 3. That's not what we want. So instead, the first row, the customer ID, name, and country should be the header. This can be easily done by selecting the table logo and then choose the use first row as headers. Please select the. Okay, now you can see that the header is actually correct. The customer ID, name, and country is not in the first row anymore. And as you can see on the right side, in the applied steps column, any changes that you do will be reflected here. So at any time, if you want to do some changes, you can always go back, edit, or even remove the steps that you have done. Then the next step is we see that in the country that is United States and US, this is not a standard value. So we actually want to change this. What we could do is from here, you want to select the country and the drop down button. From here, you want to press replace values. So for instance, we want to change the US with United States. Then you press OK. Now you can see that all the US have now replaced to United States. Then another additional step that I would like to do is sometimes in our Excel, we will have the null values. It is also crucial to do this step to avoid any null data in your visualization later on. So the way you do that is in the Home tab, you can select the Remove Rows button. Yep, and then remove blank rows. So this will ensure that in your master data, you will not have any blank data that will cause an issue in the dashboard later on. I think that is enough for the cleaning steps. Once everything is okay, you can go ahead and press close and apply. So the first step is already done, which is we have learned how to do connect the data, we have cleaned the data, do some replace values, and also remove any blank values. Does anybody have any questions? Or if anybody stuck until the cleaning steps, please leave a comment in the chat. So I think that one has already sent a blast email for everybody, so you can download the training material from there instead. Okay, I see there is no more questions. I think we can proceed, Yasmin. So once we have already completed cleaning both data, the next thing we will do is actually we want to connect these two data sets that we have. So what you can do is you go to modeling and then select the manage relationships. Yeah, so once you're in this menu, actually Power BI has already done it for you, but you can always change this whenever you want. So for this training purpose, please select the transaction customer ID and press edit. Okay, as you can see, what it is displaying is it is creating a relationship from the transaction table to the master table. And Power BI has already detected that the common key column is the customer ID, which you can use to link between the transaction and the master table. And for this scenario, you want to choose the cardinality from many to one. There are many cardinalities in the Power BI knowledge. So for this one, because the transaction can have each customer can have many transactions, we will need to have many-to-one relationship, and you can keep the singular cardinality as single. Then you click save. And then ensure that the status is active. Once that has completed, then we can start to build a dashboard. Is everybody okay so far? Okay, thanks for the reactions. If there's no further question, then we can proceed with building the dashboard. So Yasmin, please go back to the Power BI. Okay, so what we could do from here is, because our canvas is actually quite blank, what we could do is we will make a background for our report. First, you can go to the format page. In the format page, choose the canvas background. Here you can select any color that you like. For this case, we will select the yellow color, and then set the transparency to 0. Now we already have a nice color background for our report. The next thing we would do is actually create a title for our report. You can go to the Home tab and select the text box button. Yep, over here, you can start typing whatever title that you like. For this instance, we can select something like live report cooking oil shipment. And then you can also adjust the font size or the font style as you like. Okay. So now you have already got your title for your report. Then the next thing is we can open the transaction table. Here we have a list of columns that we can use to create our visualization. For the first case, we will actually use the cut visualization to show the total sum of our cooking oil. So please click the cut button. The cut button with the thunder logo. Once you have that open, you can start to drag the cooking oil ship column into the value pane. Yeah, as you can see, the total sum of the cooking oil is reflected here. But there's a lot of things you can do here. Firstly, you can start by removing the label. You can do this by selecting the format visual, and then you go to the call out, and then select turn off label. And then another thing, you can also remove the border. In the visual column, and then the cards, scroll down, and then you can turn off the border. Next is we can also adjust the alignment of the value. So to do that, go to the visual call out, and then in the value, and then select the center alignment. Okay. The next step is we can add a custom title for our KPI. To do that, go to the Visual General, select title, and then and then type total cooking oil shipped. And you can also increase the font size as you like, and then set the alignment to center. There you have it. Now you have your first KPI for your Power BI report. Is everyone okay so far? We'll take a quick pause to see if there's any questions. Yep, sorry for the delay. If you have any issue with the file, please let us know. We will email you the training material. There's a message from To Huang. Can you show us again how to make that 100K box over there? Yes, of course. Yasmin, if you can. Uh, uh, yep. So in the visualization tab, you can select the cards button over here. It is the logo with the number 123 and the lightning one. So once you have selected that, go to the data side on your right, click on the transaction table, and then choose cooking oil ship and drag it into the value pane. Yep. And then once you have this, what we did earlier is we could remove the label. We could remove the label of the value by going to general, visual, in the callout, and remove label. Then we could also change the alignment into center. Yep. And then to change the title, you can go to general and then add title. For this, you could also change the alignment to center. Got it. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, so I think we can continue. Yeah, please remove this one. So for the next visualization, we want to keep the same format. What you want to do is click on this card, hold Control C, and then press Control V to paste the exact copy. Okay, now that we have the exact copy, what I want to do next is to show the revenue instead of the cooking oil sheet. So click on the new copy card, and then drag revenue into the value part, and then remove the old cooking oils column. Okay. Now you have a revenue data as well, but the title is not quite correct. So you can choose the format visual and go to general and change the title. Maybe you can type total revenue for this one. Once this is done, we can do another one by doing copy and pasting the same card. Then this time we want to count the total customer that we have. So for this one, go to the master table, because in the master table we store all the customer data. So you want to use the customer from this table instead. So select the customer ID and pull it to value, and then remove the revenue. So as you can see, at the moment it is not showing the correct information because it's displaying the customer name instead of the total count of the customer. What you can do is click on the arrow button next to the first customer ID, yes, and then select count distinct. So now it shows that we have 50 customer based on our dummy data. Then now you also want to change the title.
Steven, there is a question asked if we want to show the revenue by customer ID, how to sort.
Okay, if you want to show revenue by customer ID, how to sort. So at the moment, we are only displaying a single information at a time, but you can easily do that as well by maybe Yasmin, you can copy the revenue card and then paste it. Yep. So for this instance, you already have the revenue. All you need to do is add the customer ID into the section. And we probably want to enlarge this card as well. And I think for this one, we should use the table instead of a card visualization if you want to show that. So Yasmin, could you show the button for the table one? Yeah. So as you can see, there's a table right here. You want to use this one to show detailed data for your from your table. So what Yasmin just did is he pulled this table and then add the customer information as well as the revenue. Then to sort this, you can easily click on the customer ID column and then it will sort for you. I think this answers the question. Is there any more question before we proceed? Can you explain shortly about the managed relationship part? What is it for? Okay, so the managed relationship is useful when we are working with multiple data sources. So for this training instance, we have two set of data. One is the master data and the other is the transaction data. So generally, in
Hi,
our
Stephen.
transaction data, for our data modeling, yes, they want.
Stephen, hi. Sorry to cut you. We have question. So it's come from Do Hong Nam. So can you explain shortly about the managed relationship part? What is it for? Maybe you could answer this
Oh yes,
question first, Stephen.
I'm explaining this. I'm actually answering the question they want.
Okay.
Yeah. So allow me to continue. I think could you please go back to okay, you can show this cardinality. Yeah, so this is quite useful when we are building Power BI. You need to know a few cardinalities. There are 4 different types of cardinalities. So from our training, if you remember, we have the master data and the transaction data. Generally, we will store the transaction data separate from the master. The transaction, we will have the customer ID and as well the revenue, but it does not store everything about the customer in the transaction table. You will store it in another table, so-called like the master. So the reason we do the relationship is so that the dashboard can get every other information from all the sources available. If you don't do that, like we showed earlier in the training, you cannot show the customer ID information as well as the revenue at the same place because there's no relationship connecting there. But generally, for the Power BI, there is 4 different cardinalities. There's many to one, which is what we use in our training. For example, many orders to one customer. So one customer can make many orders. That's just the logic behind. It can also be the other way around, like one to many. So from one customer can make many orders. It's just the switch. And then there's also one to one. So for instance, one person can have one ID card because everybody have one ID card. It can only be a unique record. And then there's also many to many, but this is not a very common use case that we have. So you will need to configure this managed relationship properly when you are working with multiple data source. But if you only have one data source, then it's okay. Okay, I hope that answers your questions. Next, we have a question from Nam. Could you please help me show the way you transform the name of customer to the total number? Okay, of course. Yasmin, could you please select the card visualization? So firstly, what you would do is select the card visualization and the customer ID. So as you can see, the value is not quite right because it is showing the customer value instead of the total count. So what you would do is in the value section, click on the drop down arrow and then select count this thing. And then the count will appear. I hope this answers your question. I think we can continue if there's no further questions. Yep, please revert this, Yasmin. Okay, so the next one is we want to show the revenue by the order date. The first thing, we want to select the KPI button. It is the one with the green and red arrow. The green and red arrow. Yep, this one. So click on the KPI button, and then you want to drag the revenue from the transaction table. Yep, into value. From here, you want to change this value from sum to average. So click on the arrow button, and then you can change to average. And then the next thing is we are missing the order date. So please pull the order date data from the transaction table into the trend axis. Okay, so now we already have like a trend line chart and also the average of revenue. Another thing we can add is to show the customer ID. Customer ID and then drag into the target section. Okay. So now we already have a KPI chart, which is showing the average of revenue and also the total count of customer by the order date. After this, we can move on to the next this, which is the detail page that we showed earlier. First, you want to select the table data, the table visualization, and then start selecting the columns from the data pane. You can start by selecting the customer ID and name from the master table. Customer ID, customer name, and then followed by the order ID, the revenue, and also the rush shipment. Yep. And then you can also adjust the size to show the complete table. Yep. So other than the KPI that we have above, you can also create a detailed table where maybe you have a requirement to see a more detailed version of the vis instead of charts. And then you can add any column as you like. As we showed earlier, you can also do the sorting based on the column that you want to see. So for instance, maybe let's show how we sort by the revenue here. Let's say we want to sort by the customer with most revenue. Yeah. So just by clicking this button, you can easily You can easily sort by ascending or descending, depends on your needs. Okay, let's leave that for the table. Okay, before that, any questions? Let's take a quick pause. Is everybody keeping up so far? In that table, you have every order. Yes, that is correct. So for this one, we have not yet applied any filter. So all the data is actually displayed here. Can you group by customer number? Actually, by default, earlier, we are actually displaying by the customer ID. Is that what you meant? So Yasmin, if you could please select the customer ID column in the detail table. Yep. So from here, you actually sorting by the customer. You can see, for example, customer one, what order has he made, and what are the revenues that the order has. So let's say if you want to group, let's say by this customer, and you want to see the revenue, you can just remove the order ID, or you can remove the rush shipment, and then you can get the aggregation that you like. So it really depends on your requirement actually. But by default, the Power BI will aggregate the table based on the column that you have input. I hope that answers your questions. Question from Roshan. Can we have multiple Excel sheets imported for a single report and then create relationship between them? Yes, we can. So it's actually the same steps that we already did from the beginning. So instead of just adding one data, you can also get another data from here. So from the home button, you can always get more data. If you click get data and then you press the workbook, you can select multiple files. And then once you have connected to all the data, you want to go to the modeling and then select manage relationship. From here, you will, let's say, for instance, you select this one and select edit. Yep. Maybe let's create a new one instead of edit. Yes, ma'am. Select maybe new relationship. Yep. Select the drop down button. Yeah, as you can see here right now, there's only two tables. But once you connect it to multiple Excel sheets with multiple tabs, there will be more selection. And from here, you want to define from which table, from which file, connecting to which data set that you want. So it's quite possible. You're very welcome. So how to change the format of column in the table, like 10,000. Okay, so I think at the moment it is already displaying by the comma. You already have a format for your revenue. But I think you can change this also inside. Yasmin, could you go to the, let's say you pull the total revenue, make a copy of this one. Yes. Make a copy of the total revenue card. So from here, you can go to the format page. Sorry, I mean in the visualization section. Yep. Format your visual. Yes, correct. And then select general. Yep. And then there's a data format section. Yep. And then select the format option. From here, you can actually select what kind of format you want. You want it to be decimal, you want it to be a currency, or even percentage. So it depends on your needs here. If you want a custom, you can always look at the website on the browser. There are a lot of tutorial on how to custom the format you like. I think this answers your question. If there's no more question, we can resume. Yasmin, would you please remove the revenue card? Okay. So the next thing, we would like to create a line chart. First, by selecting the line icon. It's this one, correct? And then you want to pull the order date and also the revenue from the transaction table. Firstly, pull the order date into the x-axis, then the revenue to the y-axis. Okay. As you can see right now, even though our data set have a daily data, it is showing the yearly data by default. What you could do is there's a drill down button where you can expand into more detail. So please click this button. Now it becomes a quarterly trend. Click again and become monthly trend, and you can click once more to make it a daily trend. So now we already have a daily trend of revenue just by clicking the button. The next thing we do is you could also show the data label by going to the visual section. Yep. And then turn on the label data labels. Then you can display the revenue value in the line chart. Okay, then we can resume to create a bar chart. So first, please select the bar icon. I think it's the one. Yes, that's the one. Please select the stack bar chart and then drag revenue from the transaction into the x-axis section. And we want to add another information. Let's try country. Pull country into the y-axis. Okay, so now we already have a bar chart showing the revenue by country. And there is another step that we can do here. For instance, we can add a conditional formatting. If you're familiar with it in Excel, we could do that easily by selecting the visual and then go to color, select bars, in the visual select bars, and then you select the color, and then go to the function button. Yep, over here, you can start to set several rules on how you want to show the color of the bar chart. First, we want to select the rules and then select the revenue field. So for the first step, you want to configure the number that you like. Let's say change the percent of value. Yeah, change the number. Let's say for instance, if the revenue is between 100,000 to 300,000, it's a green color. We want to show that the revenue is good. And then select green color. Next, you want to create a new rule. So select the new rule button. Let's say if the revenue is below 100,000, it's bad. So we want to put the color red. So if value is more than 0 and less than 100,000, the color is red. So you want to have this configuration for the conditional formatting. Once completed, click OK. Yep. So now you can see that for United States and United Kingdom, they have a total revenue which is higher than 100,000. So it's gonna be a green color. And for Germany and Canada, it's less than 100,000. So with this conditional formatting, it's quite useful for you to, as an alert, to see which is performing quite well and which require attention. This is one way to do it. Next, since we are discussing about country, we can also create a map with Power BI. And I don't, I think there's not enough space for this one. Yasmin will adjust the space first. Yep, so we have a small section there. Okay, so next you want to select the map button. It's the one with the globe. Yes, this one. Once you select this, you want to drag the country column into the location section. See, now the map is already appear. We could drag the cooking oil ship column into the bubble section. You can always zoom this by scrolling up. Yes, you can scroll up, and so now you can see there's 4 different locations, 4 different countries, and it's displaying in the map. Other than this, you can also put a label on the map as well. You can do that by going to the visual settings. And then go to the map styles. And then show label. Okay. You want to go to the bubbles button, yes, ma'am. And then, is there a label over there? Okay, no, it's category labels. Okay, there you go. Now the country label is already appeared. And other than this, you can also change the map style by going to the map settings and then click style. There's a lot of different styles you can select as well. So this is Arial is a more realistic look. The dark mode as well for a cleaner look as well. There's a different style that you can choose. Okay, I think that's it for the maps. I think the last thing we can do is actually add a filter for the report. To do that, please go back to the visualization part, yes. And then from here, select the slicer button. So this is the slicer button, the one with the funnel logo. Yeah. And for this instance, we want to select the country. Let's say we want to filter by country. So pull the country from the master table into the value. Yep. You can see that you can filter by Canada, Germany, United Kingdom, United States. Let's start to change the format for this filter because it's not a drop-down format. So go to format your visual. Yep. And go to slider settings. And then select vertical list. Change to drop-down. And then in the selection part, yeah, as you can see, the filter is now a drop-down. And then there's more selection you can do here. Let's say show select all button. Because right now it's missing the all button here. You have to select it one by one. Yep. So now you already have a country filter where you can select all the countries. Let's say you select one country, all the dashboard will be reflected based on the country that you choose. Let's say you want to select more than one country, Germany and United Kingdom. Yep. So the filter works by filtering every value in the dashboard. So let's leave that. We can also add another filter. Let's say you want to add a date. So select another slicer and then choose the order date button, order date column. Yep. So this order date works as a you can select the start date and the end date. Then there's also the button for you to drag. So you already have the complete report for this one. Any questions so far? Let's take a pause here, Yasmin. Okay, we have a question from Kaunu. If a country name in the data contains a typo, for example, Australia, will the dashboard be able to recognize it? I think no, Power BI will not reliably recognize a typo. It's a different with Tableau. Yes, it will not recognize the error. But this is the reason why we did the data preparation beforehand. So normally, if there's any typo or any errors, we will do it in our data cleaning process, which you can always do from the Power Query editor. From there, you can do the replace like what we did earlier, which is the US replaced with United States. Can you show us again how to make the revenue line chart by year, quarter, and month? Okay, sure. Yasmin, could you please repeat the visualization for the line chart? Okay, so firstly, you want to select the line chart button in the visualization part. So once you select this, you want to pull the revenue value into the x-axis and also the order date. Oh, Yasmin, I think you are supposed to pull the order date first, then the revenue, in order for the drill down to happen. So, for instance, if you select the order date first, and then you add the revenue, yep. In this case, it will display by default, which is yearly, and then you have a button at the top for you to do the drill down. So click on the button to do the hierarchy. Okay, so the order date must be in the date format. Yes, correct. You're very welcome. Let's see. Okay, you can remove the line chart now. Yes, thank you. Okay, there's a question from Hari Nugraha. Is there a new way in Power BI to automate loading multiple files from a specific folder so that whenever new files are added, the dataset refreshes automatically and the report is generated using a fixed dashboard template with several pages? If you are saying that you're adding new files into the folder, Power BI will not be able to recognize But what we could do is if your file or your any data set have a new data, you can always refresh to get the latest value. Actually, let's show you an example. Yasmin, could you please open the dummy data file, the Excel that we use? We want to add, like, for example, 2 new customer into our master data. Okay, so this is our data that we use for our Power BI training. For instance, you have a new customer, you want to update this file. So let's say you have a customer 51, name is Yasmin, is from Germany, sure. And then customer 2 is me, Steven. I'm also from Germany, for instance. Yep, so you have an update to your data set. So Yasmin, if you want to click save, and then you can go back to the Power BI. Let's remove the filter first, like we show everything. I mean, for the country, you can show everything. Yep. So right now, in the dashboard, we're showing 50 customers. And then we want to refresh the data. You can easily do that by going to the home page and then press on the refresh button. So now the Power BI is re-extracting the data from the source and also refresh the view. As you can see now, it becomes a 52 customer. This is one way for you to keep updating the report based on the latest data that you have. So whenever you have a new data, you can totally use this method to update the visualization. But as of now, if you're doing it in local with the free version, there is no scheduled refresh. You have to do this manually. So just save the Excel file and press refresh, correct. So I think, well, thank you, Yasmin, for arranging the report. It looks nice now. Okay, I think this concludes the training from my side. We'll proceed with the Q&A. Yasmin, you can leave the dashboard as it is. We look at the chat column. Okay, there's a question from Hong Nam. What if I want to change from file Excel 1 to Excel 2 as the updated data? You want to change the file, replace file. Let me think. Replace file. Okay, I think I have done this once before. Maybe we could try. Yasmin, could you please copy the dummy data file that we have? Yeah. So maybe you save a copy. Yeah. Maybe name this to the dummy data 2. Okay. And then in the dummy data 2, maybe you can add another customer so we can see the difference. So maybe you add day 1 or day 1, customer number 53. Okay, so hit save, and then you can go back to the Power BI. Okay, so from here, let's say from the transform data. Hold on, Yasmin. Let me try something for my end. Yep, try to get data first. From the get data, and then you select the other dummy data. Yep. Press open. Select the two master transaction here. Maybe do a quick transform data for the master. Just get the first row as headers. Okay, then you can close and apply. I think the next step is you can go to the data source settings in the in the home page. Then collect data source settings. Yes. Yep. I think from here you can choose the second one, which is dummy data 2, and then change source. Yep. And then press OK. And then you hit close. And then you want to hit refresh. Is it updating? Oh, it's showing as 52. What if you go for the data source setting and then you change the dummy data 1? Yes, the dummy data 1, click on change source, and then you change to dummy data 2. Then press OK. I think you can hit close and then hit refresh. Okay, now it updated. Okay, sorry, Hongnam. So I think I did another step, an additional step here. So what you could do is just go to the transform data, right? You don't need to go from the get data step. Just go from transform data and then the data source settings. So let's say, for instance, earlier we are using the dummy data 1. So you want to change this to another data. This and then choose the change source button. Yep. From here, and then you can select, you can browse the Excel file that you want to replace with your new data. Yep, I think that should do it. Get data. I hope this answers your question, because now you see the report has already pulled data from the latest one, which we have now 53 customers. Okay, next we have a question from Angeline Vanessa. Hi, I want to ask, what is my data is already in Power Query format, which I took from another Excel. Can I use the Excel file with Power Query format as the data? Sorry, let me try to understand your question. Data is in Power Query format. Can use the Excel file with Power Query format as the data. Do you mean okay, yeah, sorry. So what we do in the Power Query, any changes, any transformation you did, it will not be reflected in your actual Excel file. So your Excel file will remain the same without any of the changes done on the Power Query. The Power Query transformation we do will only be reflected in the Power BI application. If that answer your question. If you did a Power Query from another Excel file, you mean you did a Power Query and then you bring the same step? Unfortunately, no. You have to repeat the same Power Query step as well with the new file.
For this one, I'll just add. If you already have the Power Query with the Excel, which is already done, you use it as a data source in the Power BI. This is doable. It means you did the Power Query in the Excel and you clean everything. So you use the Excel as a data source in the Power BI, then it will work.
Yep, that one will works. Next, there's a question from Tapong. Could you guide again how to make a revenue average of revenue and count of customer ID by order date? Okay, sure. Yasmin, could you go back to the KPI visualization?
Sorry, Stephen. I think we missed the question from Tran. This one.
Oh, okay. Okay, Ken. Then we
Okay.
address this first.
Okay.
Okay. Could you guide again how to make a slicer with scroll down list for country? Okay. So you can easily do that by going to the visualization and then select the slicer button. So in the visualization, click on this icon, the slicer button, and you want to drag a country. So you want to pull the country into the field section. Yep. So now by default, Power BI will show everything as a multi-selection, but usually this will take a lot of space, especially with columns that have a lot of value. What you want to do is go to the settings and then choose the option for drop down. So here in the visual settings, the style select drop down. Then you get to choose multiple selection. And if you want to have the select all button, you can do that as well. Okay, we can move on to the earlier question. Which one was it? Yep, this one. So could you guide again how to make average revenue and the count of customer by order date? This is done in the KPI part. So open your Power BI and then select the KPI button. So in the visualization, you have this green arrow and red arrow button. So click on that and then please select the revenue from the transaction table. Yep, and then from here, you want to click on the drop down button and then change to average. Next, you can add the order date from the transaction table into the transaction section. Okay, now the last thing we have, we can add the customer ID into the target section as well. Okay, so now we have the chart ready. Okay, we have few minutes left. Let's see what other questions that we have. Could you show how to do conditional format color in the bar chart again? Yep, we can repeat that one. So any of the training that we have done today, you can find it in the document that Dewan or Rain has emailed to everyone. So you can always look back at the training material and repeat this in your own local computer. Let's see. Okay, so let's try the bar chart again. Select on the stack bar chart, and then I think it was revenue, was it? Yeah, drag revenue, and then country from the master table. Next, you want to go to the format visual, and then go to the bar and set colors. Choose the function button here. The format style, change it to rules, choose revenue, and then you can add the rule here. You can add multiple rules. For this training, we use the value if it's more than 100,000 as green, less than 100,000 as red. Yeah, add new rule and then set the number as you like. Then press OK. Then you have the conditional formatting ready for you. Can we download Power BI software by ourselves or need IT support for installing it? I think it depends on your unit, but for our case, you can always download it by yourself first. If you're facing any issue, you can always look for your local IT for any assistance. And there is no need to do any authentication login because the application itself is free.
Stephen, I think we missed from Roshan question. Can you please show us how we can publish this report?
Yeah, sure. So unfortunately for the Power BI free version, you do not have the access to actually publish into the server to share with your colleagues. The Power BI free version is only for local use. But for us, our BI team, we can publish it in our server using the Power BI Pro license, or also the premium license as well. Only you have that license that you can share the report into the server and grant access to your colleagues. You're welcome. May I ask, is it possible to present these visuals and data in a PowerPoint file, or are they only available for presentation in Power BI desktop? I think there is a way to show this, right, Yasmin? I think in PowerPoint.
For right now, I think
last time you did the show.
yeah, we can export. I think the Power BI can export to the Power BI template and then the PDF.
Oh, okay. So it's not PowerPoint. Yeah. So as you can see here, you can actually export it into PDFs, and maybe you can. But if it's in a PDF, you won't be able to interact with the report. It's just like an image, a still image.
Just to add on, if you have the Power BI license, you can publish to the Power BI workspace. At the workspace itself, if you access the dashboard, you can export into PowerPoint, but it is a paid license.
So it's not applicable to the free license, right?
Yeah, the free license. So if you maybe can you go to one of the workspace? Yeah, you can go to our development workspace. Yasmin, you open about the user management, the sample, yeah. You open the report. Yeah. There's a share button. You click the drop down, export. Yep. So from here, you can export into PowerPoints. But if you're on desktop, I think you are not able to do that. So there are 3 ways of export from here. And this workspace, if you want to publish here, you need a paid license. You need a Power BI Pro license. Okay. Thank you, Yasmin.
Thank you. Thank you, Ren.
Okay, we can
yeah.
resume to another question. Yeah. I think it's by how done. Is there a standard format or layout as to where to place the KPI table maps? No, it's totally up to you. You can design the dashboard as you like, wherever you want. So like earlier, Yasmin, as you can see, she did adjust the report here and there, adjust the size, adjust the position, depending on what you like. There is no rule or any format. It really depends on what you want to see. Could you clarify whether an on-premises data gateway is required for my Power BI dataset refresh setup if my data is stored in OneDrive or SharePoint? So when we do the publish dashboard in our workspace, we do have the data gateway configuration. It is required, but for the free version, it is totally fine.
I'll add on to Steven. For this data gateway, if you publish to the workspace itself, and our OneDrive and Microsoft, they are all on the same space, you do not need a data gateway. Why you need an on-premise data gateway? This is where, for example, we have a data warehouse. Our data warehouse is on AWS. They are all different environment, and that's where the data gateway is required. So if the team here, you do it on your desktop, or even you publish the workspace, but you connect to the SharePoint itself, you don't need a gateway.
Got it. Thanks, Ray. Okay, how can I save the entire Power BI report page as an image? I want a higher resolution than a screenshot. Yeah, so maybe Yasmin, you can try to export as PDF. I think that is one way to save it with a higher resolution. So go to File, Export to PDF, generating PDF for your report. And yeah, so this is the PDF file, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. So this is the higher resolution that you require. However, as I mentioned, you cannot interact because it's just an image. There's a question from Robertus. Can we apply for Power BI Pro license? Ray, maybe you can help to add on this.
Yep, we can. But we need the approval from the business head and the some of the country, depending on which country you are in, you might need the higher level approval. So once you have all the approval, you can raise a JIRA ticket to us. If you not very sure whether your country need a second level approval, you can contact us. So like country like Indonesia, they will have 2 level of the approval.
Okay, thanks, Rayan. So I think that concludes today's training, and there's no more other questions. Anything else you want to add, Ray?
No.
Okay, so I guess we can conclude our training here today. I hope everyone learned something today. And if you have any question, feel free to email us from from the Power BI support. And have a great day. Thank you so much.
Yeah.